You're eating wood pulp, petroleum dyes, and flame retardants and calling it lunch? Here's what's really in your favorite foods. Let's start with the big fish in the room, mercury. Tuna are large, predatory fish, which means they sit high on the food chain. As they swim through oceans year after year, they consume smaller fish that have absorbed mercury from polluted waters. Over time, this toxic metal builds up in their bodies, and when we eat them, we're getting a dose too. Regular tuna eaters, especially kids and pregnant women, can unknowingly expose themselves to mercury levels that the FDA warns could affect the brain and nervous system. But mercury isn't the only concern. Ever wonder where your tuna actually comes from? Many canned tuna brands source their fish from huge international fleets, some of which operate in regions with little to no oversight. This means you could be eating fish caught in unsustainable, even unethical conditions, like unregulated fishing zones where bycatch, including endangered species, gets swept up with the haul. Not exactly the wild and natural image you'd hope for. And then there's the processing. Tuna is often pressure cooked in large industrial machines, stripped of moisture, then packed in oil or brine. To make it shelf-stable, additives and preservatives may be used to maintain texture and flavor. What ends up in that little can is often a far cry from the fresh fish it once was. Here's something fishy. While you're told you're buying white or light tuna, those are often marketing labels. The species vary widely from albacore to skipjack, and depending on the source, so do the mercury levels. Some cans can contain up to triple the mercury of others, and you'd never know unless you dug deep. They're light, fluffy, and melt perfectly into a hot chocolate. Marshmallows seem like the ultimate innocent treat. But the truth hiding behind that squishy texture might make you pause before tossing them into your s'mores. The key ingredient that gives marshmallows their bounce is gelatin. Sounds simple, right? But gelatin doesn't come from plants or any sort of magical fluff. It's made by boiling down animal parts, specifically connective tissues like ligaments, tendons, and bones, until they break down into a jelly-like substance. That's the base of the marshmallow structure. While it's processed and filtered, the source is still the same. It's not dangerous or toxic, but it's definitely something most people don't think about when biting into what looks like a sweet cloud. And if you're vegan or vegetarian, yep, traditional marshmallows are completely off limits. What's even more surprising is how many foods contain gelatin, some yogurts, candies, even frosted cereals. But marshmallows remain the flagship product built on this odd ingredient. There are plant-based versions made with agar or carrageenan, but those don't usually end up in your average grocery store shelf. So next time you're roasting over a fire, just know, those golden brown puffs are more animal-based than you'd ever guess. From classrooms to car rides, chewing gum is everywhere. It's marketed as clean, fresh, and sugar-free. But if you've ever wondered what's actually keeping that stick chewy and shiny, you're in for a surprise. Let's start with lanolin. That's right. The same oily substance found in sheep's wool to keep it water-resistant. It's extracted, purified, and used in various products including cosmetics and chewing gum. In gum, lanolin helps maintain the soft, pliable texture we're all used to. It's not harmful, but it's definitely unexpected. Most people wouldn't picture sheep grease when popping a stick of minty freshness. Then there's titanium dioxide, a whitening agent used in everything from toothpaste to paint. And yes, gum. It gives gum that bright, clean look. While it's still legal in the US, it's been banned in several countries over potential health concerns when consumed in high amounts. Add to that a mix of artificial sweeteners, plastic-like base compounds, and chemical flavors, and that little stick becomes a cocktail of surprises. So next time you chew absent-mindedly, remember, it might taste like peppermint, but there's a bit of sheep and science in every bite. Sushi is often seen as the epitome of clean eating, minimalist, elegant, and fresh. But when you're picking it up from a gas station fridge or a plastic box in the supermarket, you're getting something that's far from what you'd find at a sushi bar. Pre-packaged sushi has a freshness problem. Raw fish spoils quickly, so to extend shelf life, it's often treated with preservatives and gas packaging techniques. One common method is carbon monoxide treatment, which gives old fish a bright pink or red color, making it look fresh even when it's not. The fish might be several days old, but you'd never know by appearance alone. Then there's the rice. Authentic sushi rice is made fresh daily, with careful seasoning and perfect texture. Pre-packaged sushi, on the other hand, is usually refrigerated for days, turning the rice hard and dry. To counter this, manufacturers add sorbitol and other humectants, chemicals that keep rice soft artificially. Even the wasabi, often just colored horseradish paste. The ginger, preserved in food dyes and artificial sweeteners. What looks like a traditional clean meal is actually a highly engineered product designed to look better than it is. It's not about avoiding sushi altogether, it's about knowing when it's real and when it's just a plastic imitation. Crispy on the outside, tender on the inside. Chicken nuggets are childhood favorites and fast food legends. But behind that golden crunch is a process that's far from what most people imagine when they hear the word chicken. Most commercial chicken nuggets aren't made from whole cuts of meat. Instead, they often start with mechanically separated chicken, a process where the leftover bones, cartilage, and skin are forced through a high-pressure sieve. What comes out is a pale pink paste, often nicknamed pink slime. It's not dangerous, but it's a long way from a chicken breast. This slurry is then mixed with stabilizers, fillers, flavoring agents, and sometimes even preservatives like TBHQ, which is a chemical used to prevent rancidity. Some nuggets are even bleached to improve the color before artificial flavors are added to make them taste like, well, chicken. To finish it off, the mix is shaped into those familiar nugget forms, boot, bell, ball, and coated with batter and breadcrumbs. Then they're flash-fried, frozen, and shipped by the millions. What you get in that steaming box isn't necessarily harmful, but it's a blend of scraps, chemistry, and industrial efficiency. It's food engineered for taste and texture, not nutrition. It's a little like discovering your favorite cartoon was made with recycled scenes and trick animation. It still works, but now you see the shortcuts. Nuggets might still be tasty, but knowing how they're made might make you think twice before dunking the next one. They're square, they're shiny, they melt perfectly, and they're barely cheese. Processed cheese slices have been a staple in lunchboxes, grilled sandwiches, and burgers for decades. But what's actually inside those individually wrapped slices might surprise you. Unlike real cheese, which is made from milk, cultures, and enzymes, processed cheese is often a blend of byproducts, leftover cheese scraps, emulsifiers, food colorings, and vegetable oils. In fact, some slices don't even meet the legal requirements to be called cheese at all. They're labeled cheese food or cheese product instead. To make the texture so smooth and the melt so consistent, manufacturers use sodium phosphate and citrate, which act like glue to bind everything together. These additives give it that stretch and melt we all recognize, but they also make the slices feel more like a lab creation than dairy craftsmanship. And the color? That rich yellow isn't always natural. Dyes like annatto or artificial colorants are added to make them look cheesier. Even the shelf life is extended using preservatives that keep mold at bay for weeks or even months. Something real cheese can't do on its own. The result is a slice that behaves like cheese but was designed more for convenience than quality. It's food engineered for consistency, not character. Next time you're reaching for that easy melt, ask yourself, do I want cheese or just something that acts like it? It's a little like choosing a movie remake over the original. It might be smoother, but it's not the real thing. Bottled iced tea often shows up on shelves wearing a healthy disguise. The labels scream natural, real brewed, and antioxidants, giving the impression of something just a step away from a homemade cup of tea with lemon. But inside that bottle is often a very different story. Many popular iced tea brands rely heavily on high fructose corn syrup or cane sugar, sometimes packing more sweetness than a soda. That refreshing sip could contain up to 9 teaspoons of sugar per bottle, way more than what you'd ever stir into a homemade cup. And if it's labeled diet, then you're likely getting artificial sweeteners like aspartame or sucralose instead. Then come the preservatives. Chemicals like potassium sorbate and sodium benzoate help the tea last for months on a shelf, but they also make it far from fresh. Some versions even include phosphoric acid, which can add tartness while impacting calcium levels in the body over time. And the tea itself? Often it's not brewed in the traditional sense. Many iced teas are made from tea concentrate or powder, which is rehydrated during production and flavored to taste consistent. You're not sipping a fresh brewed blend, you're drinking something rebuilt in a factory. It's a bit like putting on a band's concert t-shirt without ever hearing the music. It looks the part, but the experience doesn't match the image. If you're looking for real iced tea, brewing your own takes just minutes. And you'll know exactly what's in the cup. No syrupy surprises, no hidden additives. Just tea, as it should be. Instant noodles are the ultimate comfort food hack. Just add hot water, wait 3 minutes, and boom, dinner's served. Cheap, salty, and weirdly addictive, They've become a go-to for students, busy workers, and late-night snackers everywhere. But behind that quick convenience is a process that might make you see them a little differently. Let's start with this image. On the left, you see a thick, gooey paste being squeezed out like soft serve. That's not mashed potatoes. That's the early stage of instant noodles being formed in a factory. That doughy blob is made from highly refined flour mixed with additives to improve shelf life and texture. It's then shaped into noodles, deep-fried or air-dried, and eventually turned into those familiar brick-like blocks we all recognize. But here's where it gets interesting. To keep instant noodles from clumping and to give them their signature gloss, many brands coat them with waxes or stabilizing agents, some derived from petroleum-based compounds. These aren't dangerous in tiny amounts, but they're definitely not ingredients you'd expect in a meal. Some noodle types have even been found to contain TBHQ, a synthetic antioxidant used in industrial products like varnish and biodiesel, also added here to keep your noodles fresh for months. And the flavor packs? Often loaded with MSG, salt, artificial flavorings, and preservatives that can mimic a savory broth but don't offer much in terms of nutrition. In fact, one block of instant noodles can contain half or more of your daily sodium intake. So the next time you pour boiling water over your cup of convenience, think of that factory line and the strange chemical cocktail that turns goo into food. It might still be delicious, but now you know what's really in that cup. They're chewy, colorful, and come in every flavor imaginable. Fruit snacks and gummy bears look like candy made for kids. But if you've ever tossed a handful into your mouth without thinking, it might be time to take a closer look at what's behind that playful shine and bounce. The secret to their signature texture? Gelatin, the same ingredient used in marshmallows. And yes, it's made from animal collagen, typically extracted by boiling down the skin, bones, and connective tissue of pigs and cows. That soft gummy chew isn't just sugar and fun. It's built on boiled animal parts. While it's technically edible and legal, it's probably not what comes to mind when you see a smiling cartoon strawberry on the wrapper. And the vibrant colors? Many mass-market gummy candies use artificial food dyes including red 40, yellow 5, and blue 1. These bright colors are derived from petroleum byproducts, the same crude oil base used to make fuel and plastics. While approved in the US, some of these dyes have been banned or restricted in other countries due to potential links with hyperactivity in children or allergic reactions. Even more surprising, some of these dyes have no nutritional function, they're added purely for visual appeal. It's marketing wrapped in sugar, designed to look healthy with fruit in the name, but often contains no real fruit at all. So next time you see that rainbow pack of gummies, remember you're not just eating a snack, you're chewing on a mix of animal leftovers and petroleum paint. Tasty? Maybe. Natural? Not even close. That fizzy, citrusy soda you reach for on a hot day might be more than just a thirst quencher. It could be hiding an ingredient that's also used in flame retardants. Seriously, let's talk about brominated vegetable oil, or BVO. It's an additive found in many citrus-flavored sodas to help distribute the flavor evenly. Without it, the citrus oils would float to the top, leaving your drink separated and strange-looking. BVO acts like a blender, it keeps everything mixed. But there's a catch. BVO contains bromine, a chemical element that's also found in flame-resistant materials, certain dyes, and some industrial-grade plastics. While the BVO used in sodas is food-grade and heavily diluted, concerns have grown over time about its potential to build up in the body, particularly in fat tissue. Some studies and reports have linked overexposure to symptoms like headaches, memory loss, and skin issues, especially when consumed regularly in large amounts. Here's the twist. Several major brands have already phased BVO out of their products due to public pressure and growing scrutiny, but it can still be found in some off-brand or international citrus drinks. So if you're not reading the label, you might still be sipping it. The idea of drinking something that shares an ingredient with furniture foam might sound like something out of a sci-fi show. But it's real, and completely legal in the US, even if it's banned in countries like the European Union and Japan. So next time you're picking out a soda, take a second to scan the ingredients list. That harmless-looking bottle might just be fizzing with more than you bargained for. Frozen pizza is the king of quick meals. Straight from the freezer to the oven, and dinner is ready in 15 minutes. Crispy crust, gooey cheese, and sizzling pepperoni. But if you think what's on top is the same as what you get at a pizzeria, it's time to zoom in on the label. Let's start with the cheese, or what looks like cheese. Many frozen pizzas use cheese blends or even imitation cheese, which may contain little to no actual dairy. These are often made from vegetable oils, starches, flavor enhancers, and emulsifiers, designed to melt like mozzarella, but at a fraction of the cost. They have a greasy shine and stretchy texture, but chemically, they're closer to plastic than milk. Then, there's the meat. That pepperoni or sausage crumble on top, it might not be slices of cured meat at all. Instead, it's often restructured meat paste made from a blend of mechanically processed scraps, soy protein flavorings, and preservatives. It's meat-like but highly processed, formed into shapes and textures that resemble real toppings. Even the sauce can be pumped with sugars, salt, and artificial acids to give it punch without using high-quality tomatoes. All of this is designed to survive freezing, reheating, and long shelf life. Flavor takes a back seat to convenience. Frozen pizza is basically the fast fashion of food. It looks good from a distance, it's everywhere, and it's built to sell cheap. But once you know what goes into it, that golden melt and crispy bite might not feel quite the same. You open the bag, sprinkle some over pasta or tacos, and bam! Instant cheesy goodness. But that bag of pre-shredded cheese might be carrying more than just dairy. In fact, what's keeping it from sticking together isn't magic, it's cellulose powder. And yes, that's often made from wood pulp. Cellulose is a plant-based fiber that's technically safe to eat. It's odorless, tasteless, and FDA approved. But here's the catch in many store-bought shredded cheeses. It's added not for health but for anti-caking, so the cheese doesn't clump up in the bag. In other words, you're paying for cheese, but getting a small dose of filler too. And it's not just a sprinkle. Some tests have shown that shredded cheese can contain up to 8 to 10% cellulose depending on the brand. That means you might be getting less actual cheese and more padding than you'd think. Kind of like biting into a chocolate chip cookie and realizing half the chips are raisins in disguise. Aside from cellulose, these cheeses are often treated with preservatives like natamycin, which prevent mold but aren't found in fresh, block-style cheese. The convenience of skipping the grater comes with a trade-off: more processing, more additives, and sometimes less flavor. If you've ever wondered why freshly shredded cheese melts more smoothly and tastes better, it's not your imagination. That's real cheese doing its thing, without the sawdust buffer. So, while pre-shredded cheese is handy, you might find that grating your own gives you more melt, more taste, and less mystery in every bite. Pickles are supposed to look crunchy and vibrant, right? That neon green glow practically jumps off the shelf. But here's the twist: that eye-catching color isn't natural at all. In fact, many commercial pickles are dyed using artificial food coloring, most commonly yellow number 5 and blue number 1, a combination that creates that vivid green hue. Why? Because the natural color of cucumbers tends to dull and fade during the pickling process. Brining, especially over time, pulls out chlorophyll and leaves the pickles looking pale and murky. So to keep them looking fresh and appealing, producers reach for synthetic dyes. It's all about presentation. Yellow number 5, also known as tartrazine, is a petroleum-derived dye that's been at the center of health discussions for years. While it's considered safe in small amounts by the FDA, it's been banned or restricted in several countries, and some people report sensitivities, especially children. It's the same dye used in things like candy, soda, and even some medicines. Here's the kicker: many of these additives don't affect the taste at all. You could have a completely dye-free pickle that tastes exactly the same. But to manufacturers, color equals appeal, especially when trying to grab attention in a crowded store aisle. If you're looking to keep your plate free of artificial extras, check the ingredients list. You'll spot the dyes right there, hiding in plain sight. Or better yet, try naturally fermented pickles. They may look duller, but their flavor and crunch are the real deal. No glow-in-the-dark ingredients required. Canned soup has long been the backup dinner, the sick day savior, or the quick lunch you heat up in minutes. It feels comforting. But peel back that metal lid, and you'll find more than just broth and veggies simmering inside. Let's start with MSG, short for monosodium glutamate. It's a flavor enhancer that gives food that savory umami punch. While the FDA says MSG is generally safe, some people report headaches, nausea, or fatigue after eating it. And here's the thing: many canned soups contain hidden sources of MSG, listed under names like yeast extract, hydrolyzed protein, or natural flavor. That comforting taste? It might be coming from a lab, not your grandma's recipe. But the real surprise is in the can itself. Many metal cans are lined with bisphenol A, a chemical used to prevent corrosion and extend shelf life. BPA has been linked to hormone disruption, especially with long-term exposure. When hot soup touches the lining or sits in it for months, small amounts can leach into the food. Even healthy soup brands can carry these hidden extras. The label may say low sodium or organic ingredients, but still include artificial flavors and BPA-lined packaging. It's the kind of thing you'd never notice unless you dug into the fine print. Here's a warm thought. You can avoid all of this with homemade or refrigerated soup options that skip the additives and the metal. It takes a little more effort, but it's the difference between a quick fix and real food that's got your back. Because sometimes comfort should come without extra chemicals. They sit on top of sundaes, peek out of cocktails, and shine like little red gems in fruit salads. But maraschino cherries? They're far from the fresh, juicy fruit they once were. The journey starts with real cherries, but not the vibrant red kind. These are usually pale yellow varieties that get bleached in a brine solution containing calcium chloride and sulfur dioxide. This strips away the natural color and flavor, turning them into bland, ghostly orbs. Then comes the makeover. The cherries are soaked in high-fructose corn syrup and artificial flavoring, often almond-like in taste. To finish it off, they're dyed with red 40, a synthetic coloring made from petroleum byproducts. It's this cocktail of chemicals that gives maraschino cherries their candy-red glow and shelf life that can stretch for years. They may look festive, but they're more science project than fruit. If you're imagining hand-picked cherries soaked in sweet liqueur, think again. Those belong in old-school recipes, not most jars on the shelf today. So the next time you see that shiny red cherry on top, you'll know. It's not just a garnish, it's a tiny edible illusion. That's about it. Write in the comments which of these products you will stop buying now. For more useful information, watch other videos.